In lecture 1, we saw that it's common to build triads. Just to remind you what a triad is, it's 3 notes played together. It's the simplest type of chord.
So if we take any note, what we're going to do in order to build a triad is play a note, then miss a note, then play a note, then miss a note. So if we think of a chord built on F, the lowest space on the stave, we're going to play the F, we're going to miss the line G, play an A, miss the line B, and play the note C. So we get our 3-note chord using every other note.
And when we play the notes stacked up like this, it's the bottom note, it's the first note there that is the one that sort of sticks out to our ears generally. Here's another triad, and let's hear another one as well. Okay, now let's just to demonstrate how we can pick out the bottom note from the triad. Zach, I'm going to play some chords in a row, and when I finish on the final triad, I'd just like you to hum for me, sing the note that stands out to you perceptually. Okay. Okay, Zach's singing the keynote. In this case, it was G. He was singing the tonic keynote, G. Let's try another one.
La.
He's singing the keynote, B.
So, although there were multiple notes being played, actually when we hear the triad, it's still the lowest note, it's the tonic that is the most important one perceptually.
So let's just think of another example here. We've got an A minor chord, A, C and E. Now, because the notes repeat across the octave and that keeps going on and on, we could repeat as many of the A's and the C's and the E's as we like and put them all into some sort of voicing on any instrument. So we could have something like this. There we go. So the note, out of all those repetitions and the various voicings that we're using, it's the bottom note of the triad that should stand out the most.
So although Nicky played lots of A's and lots of C's and lots of E's, the important thing was that perceptually the triad was, the root of the triad was the most important, it was the strongest, and that's what allowed me to sing the note A above the others.
And that's how we identified that chord as being an A triad. So you'll remember from lectures 1 and 2 that triads don't just have an identity, they don't just have a note name that identifies them, they've also got a kind of flavour or a characteristic. And we've already heard just now 2 different types of characteristic. We've heard minor triads and we've just heard major triads. So just a reminder about what's quite going on there. It's something you've talked about already, but it's also good to think of it in different ways. With that triad, we've got the interval of a perfect fifth on the outside, from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top. And then in the middle, we can carve up that pitch space so that it makes a major sound or a minor sound.
So the important bit about that chord, and the thing that actually gives it its major sound or its minor sound, is the third. So if we think about the first degree and the fifth degree of the triad, we've got 7 semitones between there, and as Nicky said, that's what we call a perfect fifth. But importantly, in distinguishing major and minor, is actually the third that we want to look at. So if between the root of the triad and the third, we have 3 semitones, we call this a minor third. So a triad with a perfect fifth and a minor third is described as a minor triad. If we had 4 semitones between the root and the third, we get a major third, and a triad with a major third and a perfect fifth is a major triad.
So just summing up, when we have triads, we can identify them, even though they're 3 notes, by one single note name, which is the root note, and we can also identify them as having a particular flavour or character, either major or minor, or diminished or augmented, and we'll talk about those more a bit later.
So a little aside on triads before we move on. Some people might be watching these videos wondering why we've always had this group of notes in the same order appear in 1, 3, 5. What happens if we have a different order?
That order that we've been using, 1, 3, 5, is what's known as root position, where the tonic note, the root, occurs in the lowest position of the chord. Now, of course, you can move them around and do them in other positions as well. So here we've got 1, 3, 5. Of course, we could have 3, 5, 1, or we could have 5, 1, 3. Now, the interesting thing perceptually about rearranging that order is that the note that we're calling the root note is still the one that you use to identify the chord. So even when you've switched it round, that note, because of the relationships between the pitches when you play them together, that note is still identifiable as the root of the chord.
So when we're talking about these triads being rearranged, to use the music theory term, we're actually talking about inversions. The notes are being inverted. We'll talk more about that in the next lecture, but we've also put some supplementary material up on this week's webpage, just so you can have a read into it and become a bit more familiar with it. From now on, in this lecture, however, we're always going to keep everything in root position, just because it makes it really easy to talk about the first, the third and the fifth and know where everything is.